He made his first trade at 13 years old. He co-founded one of the largest fintechs in the world in 2007. He purchased his first Bitcoin in 2010, and he wrote a Bitcoin white paper with Vitalik Buterin. I'm pleased to introduce Yoni Assia, the CEO and co-founder of eToro. Thank you for joining us, Yoni. Great to have you. We have a lot to cover today related to eToro, but first of all, I would like to talk about you, if you don't mind. People don't know that actually, but you really are a Bitcoin early adopter. You also co-wrote a white paper with Vitalik related to Bitcoin, not to ETH. It was about colored coins. It was like the first instance of non-fungible tokens, to be precise. And by the way, you had a lot of fans. Charlie Lee from Litecoin used colored coin as well. What brought you to digital assets at that time?
So I founded eToro in 2007. So we actually founded eToro pre-crypto, but also pre-global financial crisis. And during the global financial crisis, as a young entrepreneur, I saw something that I was shocked because I come from a computer sciences background. And I thought the financial system actually works like you would expect it to work on modern computers, modern internet. And what happened in the global financial crisis is you were actually worried that the bank is going to be closed tomorrow. You couldn't actually connect to the bank at all, right? So we had money in the banks. We raised money from investors. We already launched eToro, which was connected to trading in basically capital markets, and nothing worked. Everything stopped. It's like somebody pulled the plug. Everybody was in the dark. And that led me to swirl in thinking that the system doesn't work, right? Because the system needs to be like the internet, 24/7. And more than that, the reason for the global financial crisis was that the money is not transparent, that nobody actually understands how the money moves. And from a very young age, I started trading when I was 13 and developing when I was 13. So I've been now 32 years in the global markets and the global connected markets. As an entrepreneur, I was shocked how broken the system is. And the fact that the banks are still working on T+1, right? On the same basically concept that my grandfather, who actually built a bank in the 60s without computers, that system also worked on T+1. So basically since the 60s, the system sort of works the same, ETLs, reconciliation. And then I actually started writing about what eventually became our nonprofit, The Good Dollar. And I wrote about the need for a new financial system that works like the internet.
A UBI.
That was pre-UBI thinking.
Okay.
It was about, basically, I would describe something similar to a blockchain, that you need to have a connected database where people can see where the transactions are moving from one place to another, so the invisible hand can become the visible hand. And then in 2010, my brother sent me, who was my co-founder, sent me an article about Bitcoin and said, this really sounds like what you wrote about in The Good Dollar. You should check it out. And I remember I downloaded the Bitcoin back then. I started mining a bit. And, just the fact that, with a terminal, I actually created a wallet and then created another wallet, then sent money back and forth. Back then there were also faucets, if you remember those.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I was wow, this is how finance should work. Transactions settle online on a ledger that works 24/7.
2 confirmations and it's done.
And it's done. And I was wow, this needs to replace everything in finance. This is how finance should work. And this is now 14 years ago. I started writing in Bitcoin Talk, which was back then the only place everybody in Bitcoin was, including originally Satoshi and Beck and everybody. And it got a lot of reactions. That was really early stages of thinking about tokenization. And then I wrote the colored coins paper, and the concept was very simple. So how do you issue euros or dollars on top of the Bitcoin protocol? And a part of that, so in parallel, we had this one channel, which is, okay, how do we tokenize assets? How would that work on top of the Bitcoin network? And on another path, we actually started buying Bitcoin in eToro. So we bought 3,000 to 4,000 Bitcoin, about 3,500 or 3,800. So in parallel, we were okay, we have to list Bitcoin on eToro. And that was a process that was like a struggle because this was 2012. And in parallel of writing Colored Coins paper. And then Vitalik actually came and sat in eToro's offices to write the paper. We paid him in Bitcoin. And there was actually an open Google group from back then where you actually see Charlie Lee and Vitalik and a lot of people from the industry like talking to one another about basically tokenization, colored coins. You have people from Tether there that actually evaluated to do USDT originally on colored coins. But interestingly, the company, while progressing towards Bitcoin, like my board obviously was very afraid of crypto. They were like, you should sell it, don't touch it, it's dangerous, it's defocusing. Like there was really like that struggle in eToro where the board was like, this is not real money, this is not something you should deal with. So everything we did in Colored Coins, we said, okay, it's open source, it's for the community, it's not eToro, unrelated to eToro at that stage. And basically a lot of like forks came out of it. And Vitalik actually started, I think back then, what became Bitcoin maximalism, because he said, you need to build something different for tokenization. And that was like, and people around, like all the Bitcoin people were like, no, that's blasphemy. You need to have only one chain should rule them all. And the rest is history. He went with actually someone else who was in eToro at the same time, founded Ethereum with Joe Lubin and others. We eventually launched on eToro Bitcoin in 2013. So it took us like a year and a half to explain to regulators exactly what it is and how do we price it and what's Mt. Gox. And that was just like a month or two before Mt. Gox collapsed. So that was like my first experience of crypto winter. So that's our history in Bitcoin. But I've always known from the first time I saw Bitcoin, this is the future of finance. The future of finance is 24/7 connected ledgers that offer transferability to all the participants in the network. So I'm a very big believer in the path now of the tokenization of all assets.
2007, next year is your 20th anniversary for eToro. 20 years. It was basically, I won't say the beginning of internet, but maybe like the beginning of the Web 2. How do you reflect on these 20 years? Basically, we could say that eToro got along with the internet growth at the same time.
So, I've been a tech lover since I was very young. So I always say 3 technologies, now 4. Was I remember first time connecting to the internet and wow, this is the future. This was 95, 96, I think. First time I made a trade on the internet. And I was like, wow, capital markets are amazing. Then Bitcoin, and now of course, my AI and my claws. We saw the social element of the web for growing. And that's how we basically built what became in eToro, the largest social investment network. So where people not only trade, but they actually share their trades and other people can see their trades. And since then, we've seen that constant change in technology, which was desktop app. We were then the first company who actually launched a web trader. Then the first trading company to move to a mobile first approach. Before that, introducing Bitcoin in 2013. Then using AI in 2017 to actually select who are the top traders in eToro to copy. So every time there's an interesting technology, we always are trying to be at the forefront of implementing that technology to our customers with the same vision and mission of helping our customers grow their knowledge and wealth in capital markets.
What is the audience of eToro? Who are your customers?
Our actual users are wider than that, but the Gen Y, roughly 25 to 45-year-olds who 20 years ago were 25, now they're 45, you're on that range, that are tech savvy, that they want to invest in the markets. They know that they want to buy stocks, or we're helping them educate themselves on the importance of buying stocks and now crypto and now commodities, whatever is interesting and relevant at that point in time. And they understand that using technology empowers them to be smarter and better investors, right? So that's the core audience of eToro, is I want to understand how to manage money. I want to educate myself and be smart about how do I manage my money? How do I invest my money? And there's a range of products now, right? So now we're more and more going towards the super app approach, which is we provide trading now, by the way, 24/7, which I love because it's copying crypto markets. So we see capital markets copying crypto markets. We offer investing to copy the pro investors on eToro. 5,000 of the smartest people I've ever met who are managing money on eToro, and other people are copying them. So you can find someone who basically has 30% returns on average for 12 years, and you say, I want to copy him with $5,000. We have our smart portfolios also together with CoinShares.
Yeah.
So where our partners, which include CoinShares, but also BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree, ARK. So a lot of the best investment houses or asset managers that actually build their own strategies on eToro, where our customers can actually invest in their strategies. We have the strategy Napoleon X that CoinShares bought, I think running on eToro for maybe 6 or 7 years and did 1,300% returns since inception, and has 10,000 people copying it with about $40 million. So we provide the range between trading, right, which is shorter term, sometimes leverage trading, to investing, which is medium term, to savings, where we have in the UK our ISA, superannuation in Australia, now life insurance in France, and we have our banking products, where you actually get a virtual bank account in eToro, your Visa debit card, your past lounges, your benefits of being a club member in eToro. So as our customers are growing, right, with us, we're also growing our product depth for them to eventually replace their financial services providers.
You mentioned super app. You really are disruptive, as you mentioned, like you're really trying to integrate every new interesting technology. What is your relationship with banks? Because in the end, you're competing with banks.
So first of all, you know, in crypto, there was always this tension, right? So I'll tell you, it's an interesting story. So when you were early to crypto, you had a lot of your banks closed.
Yeah.
So we had a big business already, non-crypto business, and then suddenly the crypto business was booming, 2017. And we had hundreds of millions of dollars in two of the largest banks in the world. And they just called us and said, your banks are closed in 30 days, take your money from here. And we were like, we didn't have so many banks. It was like, and at that point, we had crypto winter number 2, 2018. We really had to distance ourselves, hide a bit the crypto part of eToro, because we realized that the crypto part could endanger the entire business, right? And in 2014, winter came in, and it was clear for everybody that Bitcoin is dead. It was a fad, it was hype, it's irrelevant. In 2018, when crypto winter was there, the crypto community was all in and continued to be all in, but the banking community was really tough, right? They were closing banks for all of the crypto companies everywhere. So we really had to double down on the non-crypto part and make sure, as a regulated company, right? Because we come from TradFi first, we have to make sure that everything we do in crypto is super duper regulated, compliant, anti-money laundering. And at that point, we received a warning of banks to say that's it. I'd say 2018 to 2021, we had a lot of banks shutting down the ability of customers to deposit into eToro, which is very bad for the business. It's very bad that banks are doing it, by the way. But that was how banks viewed crypto and how they should close their own banking system for themselves. I think post 2021, when the third crypto rally sort of emerged, I think at that point everything started changing. Visa, MasterCard, Goldman Sachs, all sort of figure out, okay, we can't kill it, okay, let's somehow join it. And at that point, we already had building relationships, but also eToro grew suddenly from $300, $600 billion revenues. Our assets of customers grew now, they're at $20 billion, which means now we have not hundreds of billions, but billions of dollars in banks. Then during the IPO, you build your banking franchise, right? And at that point, it was already clear, now we're overbanked, right? We were underbanked, fearing for the life, moving to overbanked, where everybody wants to bank eToro, everyone wants to open accounts for eToro, and we need to feed like the mouths to make sure like you distribute the funds correctly, etc. What I think gradually we're seeing more and more banks realize that their real core competency is lending, right? That is their business, and that will remain their business. Their balance sheet enables them to take deposits and to lend against those deposits for 20 years. Like mortgages are very hard to disrupt. The lending business and the balance sheet business is very hard to disrupt. And I think they understand more and more that they actually want to use innovators like eToro and like others in the space to offer better products, better user experience to our customers. And they definitely understand that they have to be on chain and thinking on chain and enabling their customers to buy Bitcoin or to buy digital assets to remain relevant.
Speaking of on-chain, you mentioned today, we have 15 March 2026, that you acquired Zengo wallet. Does it signal like a move from eToro to go fully on-chain?
Yes, 100%. So I've always had a dream of moving all of eToro on-chain. Since 2012. But you always also need to make sure you're not too early. When you're too early, you get scars from being too early, and then you're a bit too late, right? So I think the fact that we've been in the space for a period of time and experienced 2018 winter and 2022 winter, we basically, every time that winter hit, we went and said, okay, let's focus on capital markets, on the stock markets. Let's add more stocks into eToro. And we didn't do a good enough work to build our DeFi part of the business. I think now it's very clear that DeFi on its own is a parallel universe to TradFi, right? And there's that connectivity layer that's growing as well. But the people on DeFi are different. Sometimes they're the same, like me. I would have both a Zengo wallet and an eToro wallet. And I love experimenting with every new product that's coming out on crypto. And of course, I have my own stocks in crypto on eToro. But I think people who are more crypto savvy, first of all, there are many more of those. Second, like the world has grown. There's 400 people now with crypto assets. There are actually more people with crypto assets today than there are with direct ownership of stocks, right? So having the ability to both enable our users to experience everything in DeFi, right? So everything in DeFi is first own your own crypto, but in a safe way with Zengo. Then look at swaps, which is instead of the 200 coins on eToro, customers will be able to trade 1 million coins on Zengo, to lending, right? So I used Aave, I look at Morpheus. So lending is a big thing, especially when you think about tokenized assets, to two of the newest parts of decentralized finance, which are perpetuals on tokenized assets and prediction markets. So we eventually want to offer those services both on TradFi and on DeFi, and believe that when you have both, you can actually create a better ecosystem for your customers.
Do you expect everything to get tokenized?
Yes, I think we're going to see by 2040 probably $100 trillion on chain, at least. You know what? It's probably going to be even sooner, but just from my experience, I like to push things forward to be right. But now you have the US capital markets and US SEC chair and CFTC chair saying out loud, we are going to move US capital markets on chain. So US capital markets moving on chain is $200 trillion. And they actually started doing it, right? They approved the DTCC to work with basically blockchain companies to tokenize assets. And they're talking not only about stocks, but about bonds. They're talking about, they are already sort of making USDC regulated, so stable coins, which is already a big part, but it's going to be in the trillions, right? It's inevitable. And you're talking about new opportunities like private markets, real estate, secondaries of private companies. So I think all of those together are all going to emerge. All of them are in different types of their infancy. And the reason it's this infancy is regulation is still a gap, right? So how do you connect real world assets on chain in a way that is regulated, compliant, legal, and trusted, it is still a challenge in 2026, which is surprising, by the way.
What is money to you, Yoni?
A medium of exchange. So money, in my view, it's like, actually I look at money and it's like the definitions of what people say about Bitcoin, right? So it's a medium of exchange and it's a store of value. And as a store of value, it is actually a price formation indicator, right? So I actually highly appreciate money in capital markets as price formation. And price formation is price formation for what? For the value you created, right? So obviously, like many people in crypto, I'm a libertarian and believe in like free markets. And free markets, what you have is dollars actually represent the value person potentially created that's positive in the world, that's in a perfect system, so that doesn't always work. But I think that is money, and money will have different forms. And we just are coming from a world where money is very flat and is one-dimensional to a world where money and value represent a lot of different values and has many, many dimensions, which is why I'm so excited about everything that comes out, whether it's NFTs or whether it's prediction markets or whether it's any of the innovations that I see, because I see the value that's created by it.
Thank you, Yoni.
Thank you very much. That was great.
Thank you.